Okay, so in this video, a friend of a friend has asked for some coaching on making or helping to make his switch ollie feel as good as his normal ollie. And I gotta just say that he has a pretty incredible ollie both ways, but there are some pretty common things that lead to switch feeling very different than regular. And if you think about um, all the work that you've put in to becoming a regular skater. So in this case, Jordan is a left foot forward skater. He's a regular skater. He's put a lot of time into developing coordination and skill. And if you were to walk back all those steps in your own skating of each accomplishment that you made as you became more and more confident skating with whichever is your chosen forward foot, I'm goofy, I'm the right foot forward skater. So all the little accomplishments that you achieve, it would be a lot of work to repeat all that and develop the same coordination with your opposite foot forward. And there's an argument, of course, that we're all naturally coordinated one way or another, but it doesn't really matter. Once you pick a front foot, that becomes the way you're going to coordinate yourself as a skater, and you're going to develop a lot of confidence in that. And working your way back through the basics is difficult. So So let's take a look at his ollies. Let's take a look at his regular and his switch ollie and kind of break that down a little bit. And there's some key ingredients there that he could change that will definitely help him feel and set up for the ollie a little differently, so it feels a little bit more like his regular skating. But in the end, uh, I'm going to recommend some work that you probably want to put in just so you get a little bit better feel, more confidence, and it'll change, maybe change your attitude, your approach towards switch trick, switch ollie in this case, and help you feel more comfortable. And his regular ollie, very comfortable. He's got a set stance that he uses. Switch ollie, moving a little slower into it, but still very, very comfortable ollie, right? And the more I watch this, the more I start to see the differences. So as a coach or an analyst, I'm always looking at the biomechanics and the little things that are happening. So let's see if we can't break this down a little bit and look at it in slow-mo. So here's his regular setup. You can see he's staring right at kind of at his target down towards his feet. Look at the position of his back foot right here. So right in this area, you can see he's got his toe back here up on the slope of the tail, right? And his heel right here is elevated above his toe a little bit. And notice the position of his legs. So the way he likes what feels comfortable to Jordan is, this knee is kind of tucked in a little bit, kind of got that classic tuck knee position when he sets up. This one's bent pretty much in alignment right here. It's not super knocked or tucked in, but that's what feels good to him. You can see all of the alignments, like his shoulder alignment and his hip alignment, are pretty good. They're kind of pointed in the direction of travel. This all looks pretty good. And when he goes to set his ollie, you'll kind of see how those come into play. Here, let's take a look real quick. So even as he extends, look at those knees are touching. So this is what he's developed as a style for ollieing. And then I'm not going to say there's a better position athletically or how the legs work, because everybody's legs are different. And really the position of his feet, if you look at how his feet are angled, that duck position with the toes out a little bit, that's what's causing his knees to tip in, along with just his normal his anatomy, right? The way he's built. And if you look at what's happening there, it creates this kind of stance. Now, this is what feels good to him. He's clearly developed this, and it's created a really strong ollie. Couple things to notice: look at the height of the heel right here. It stays nice and high the whole time. And we'll take a look at how that plays into a switch ollie here in a second and see if there's a difference. But he's got great timing, good flick right there. Front knee slide is his front foot kind of tips, rolls out, front knee's coming up. He's doing everything right. He's going to catch it right at the nose, on the flat or the top of his shoe, right? So on that instep, really, really good technique right there. And then you'll see he's going to start lifting that back leg, and the tail is going to chase his back foot up to the catch right there. And he's got that really classic ollie position. This is a very powerful, very stable, very skilled ollie. And when he lands, his stance widens up a little bit, but he's still got kind of that duck thing going on with his feet. He's looking down where he landed. That's how he likes to spot the landing. and he absorbs the landing beautifully. He's got really good control, right? So now we're going to come around to his switch ollie, and we'll just take a look at how he sets up for it. So you'll notice in this case, he stands in his regular stance. So if you look at his setup right here, his foot position is almost in what his regular foot position looked like. So this toe pointed out, but it's even more so. Look at how far that toe points back towards the tail here. So he's got this toe right here pointed way back towards the tail. And then this toe, his front toe, and his switch front toe, is pointed more across the board. So he's already going to have a different feel because he's kind of put his legs in a different position. Notice that his knees are not touching in his setup. So here he is getting low and set up. Notice that his back leg is tipped this way, back towards the tail as well. So he's given himself a totally different posture in his approach. So of course it's not going to feel the same because it's not even the same movement pattern. He's now created a whole different set of movements. So you might remember his back knee when he ollied regular was tucked in, kind of knock-kneed. In this case, it's completely opposite. He's almost setting up with balance and weight towards his back foot, which is going to probably make him feel a little weird overall. So from a feel perspective, the position. Also notice his heel is down. Notice that his foot, most of his foot, is over this part of the board right here. He's kind of hovering over that part of the board instead of having his ball of his foot, and his foot across the slope of the tail, or the switch tail in this case. So lots of differences right out of the gate when you just look at it analytically, right? So clear the drawings. Let's take a look. Let's walk it through. Watch that back heel. In this case, his left heel. Notice how it's flat on the board the whole way through, and it's on top of, maybe even ahead of the back wheels. So he's not going to have the same kind of leverage. His flick isn't going to feel as effective, so he won't feel as powerful, as quick with his flick, because he's over the wheels instead of back over the tail where he has more leverage. He's got a lot of things going on here. Still, again, it's a pretty incredible switch ollie. I wish I had this switch ollie, and I'm not going to sit here and claim that I do. He's just an athletic skater, really, really good. Great catch with the front foot. Notice he athletically pulls that back leg up, and the tail chases until the catch. But you might notice right here a slightly different position mid-flight. On his other ollie, his lead leg is kind of extended out this way more, and the nose is starting to point down at this point. Here he just stays level. He just kind of caught, and he's going to survive the landing. So he's not as dynamic, still very good ollie. There's nothing like majorly wrong with his ollie. Obviously he could ollie over like 3 stacked boards if he wanted to, probably no big deal. And if you challenged him that way, he'd probably easily accomplish that and push himself. But until he changes the setup technique and focuses on creating the same feel and same movement patterns in his switch ollie that he creates in his regular ollie, they are not going to feel the same. So Jordan, as you watch this, just pay attention to the differences, the subtle differences here in how you set up for the ollie and how that affects the movements and the way that you behave in the air and at landing. We'll watch both of them just all the way through. There's that nice, look at that poked out position right there, kind of ninja kick position. Look at how, and the slope and angle of his shoulders. He's counterbalanced up here. This is all such amazing stuff. Sorry. I know I get all nerdy on these things, but I want you guys to see what I'm talking about. Look at the angle of his spine and the slope of his shoulders, right? He almost draws a line for you with his arms. That's creating counterbalance relative to the kind of the position of the feet, the center of the board right here. So he's counterbalanced out, and literally he's trying to clear that tail. It's awesome. Such cool position in the ollie. And you definitely want to work to achieve this. I mean, this happens naturally for most skaters, but for those of you who are trying to understand different parts of the ollie, this is a really key point of understanding, air awareness. But again, we go back to what Jordan's doing here, and we get some pretty cool effect here in terms of how he airs and lands this ollie. So there's that sort of counterbalance with the shoulders and the spine. He's going to come right down on top. He's on, I mean, look, that's like a bolts landing. It's so good, right? Now we'll watch that slow-mo of the switch ollie again. Here it comes. And you can see the setup's different. Really good action of the lead leg, really good action of the rear leg, you know, in terms of takeoff and then picking the knees up to catch the board. But look at his body position, right? This is another interesting one. Kind of just take a lesson from his regular ollie. Now his spine is straight up and down. His shoulders are right here. And he's on top of the board, which means he's probably going to land pretty safely, but he's also not creating that counterbalanced out position that's so powerful and so stylish. So again, there's another feel difference that he's going to have, right? Because he's, I mean, literally just right on top of the center of the board where he's looking everything else. Whereas before he, you know, if he were doing it how he did his other one, his legs would have a slope like that. Shoulders would be sloped this way, right? Here, let me clear these to make it a little more obvious. So if he were doing this how he did regular, right, he'd have a slope to his shoulders like this. He'd have, his legs would be coming out here like this on an angle like that, right? And his spine would have a slope like that, or something like that. So all those field perspectives, right? These are all things he can analyze in his own videos as he's watching them, and he can work to set up. But the key for him is going to be preparing himself for the switch ollie the same way he does his regular ollie. So he wants to get to a point where in his setup right here, just back it up a little bit, he wants to get this setup looking the same, where, you know, his eyes are looking where he's going a little bit more, his back foot is turned a little less towards, with the toes pointing towards the toes, and he's up on the actual slope of the tail. His heel would be up off his board right here, and his back knee would probably be tipping in towards his front knee. And then he's going to have a much more identical feel. And if he just changed those things, I bet he has a totally different feel for his ollie. And of course, there's always a chance that he's trying to do these things, in which case, if that's intentional, so be it. Good job. If you weren't aware of those things, then change them and see if it makes a difference in how you feel. And let's go ahead. There's his ollie again. Still such a good ollie. Like, it's kind of crazy. Such a strong skater. So the key here is that Jordan has some pretty incredible ollie mechanics going on overall. He's very athletic. So not everybody can pop as high as he can and get that. And not everybody has as good a timing as he does. He's got great timing with the extension of his legs and the snap, the lift and roll of the front foot, and then the snap of the back foot. Really good timing. So he's real light footed, and he gets a good snap out of the tail. That thing floats up nice and high. I mean, a lot of us who ollie, you know, feel much more heavy footed than Jordan does. I mean, it's just a very powerful thing. And when you're watching great skaters, like, that's what you're looking for. I mean, they just look so light footed, nimble. It's just amazing. So if you're like me and you nerd out on skateboarding, then you'll totally start to look at things a little differently in terms of how their body works and whether it looks heavy or rocket ollie or any of those things. But the key for Jordan is going to be just to emulate his stance in his setup and his foot position, everything else in his setup for switch that he does regular. So he just got to make that setup look the same and start there and build on that. The other thing that I totally recommend is that if you go back to our videos, we have a whole series of videos for those of you who are newer to skateboarding. Reteach yourself how to skate switch and just follow those steps. I mean, the first video is how to step on and off the board, and it goes all the way up to like pushing and carving and tic-tacking, that kind of stuff. So just the basics, but spend some time. We also have a series where I broke down how to push and just offered a bunch of drills for how to get more confident for people who are like at the novice level learning how to push. And you might take a look at that and just try it out. Test yourself, see if it helps you. And if you develop a little more confidence skating switch, just pushing around switch, and start developing some of those fundamental tricks and movements that you did when you first learned how to skate, you'll probably feel better when you approach a switch trick like a switch ollie or any other switch trick. I hope this helps you guys, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And Jordan, thank you for the submission, and keep them coming, man. I'm happy to help.
Our goal is to help you learn how to skateboard and understand more about skateboarding. If this video helped you, Be sure to hit us up in the comments below and tell us what you'd like us to focus on for our next video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and then subscribe to our channel and tell your friends all about us. If you'd like to learn more about the United States Skateboard Education Association, please visit www.ussea.us, where you can learn more about how to skate, learn more about helping others learn how to skate, and become a certified skateboard coach.